Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for waiting. It was definitely worth the wait. I have with me now Stephen Costantino, who is both an actor and a musician, and we're going to talk about the music first, because the acting, well, you will all know the character, of course, one of the favorites from Star Wars. But the music is what thrilled me, and we met yesterday and talked a little bit. It turns out you spent a lot of time in the county, the greater county of Marin, with a lot of the artists.
Yes, in the beginning,
crazy
that was
musicians.
kind of my first introduction of rite of passage to California.
And
Absolutely.
And through a lot of those experiences and people that you met, there is an album that you showed me. It's called Gomorian Music.
Oh, Gomorian Sound is
Gomorian
actually
Sound.
my company and record label and my studio, and my music, Stephen Costantino.
Right.
But yeah, Gomorian Sound is definitely the pivot to all of it. Yeah.
And that was the one that I got to read, and I saw that you have a huge library of music, and I highly recommend it. It's very bluesy. I heard all kinds of notes from different artists that I could recognize. I mean, there was a little bit of Santana in there. There was a little bit of, it was if you looked at it like a top level blues musician chart, you'd hear tons of inspirations. What were your specific inspirations in music, and what kind of got you into it, and what do you think about when you compose?
Well, the diversity of music, being from the East Coast, blues is the foundation, because the British invasion, they took blues because they appreciated it more than us back then.
Right.
Back in the 60s and 70s. So bringing it back to us, like the first Led Zeppelin album, You Shook Me, for instance. I think it was You Shook Me. I said, wow, what a song for Jimmy Page to write, being a British guy. Not that they can't, but it's just very South.
Yeah.
Kind of vibe. And I look at it, it's Willie Dixon that wrote it. So they kind of, then you say, oh, Willie Dixon, Muddy Waters. And so blues was the foundation for all of that. It's great songwriting. We had Elton John, and I love the Stones. And then those albums were coming out in the 70s. The sound, Hendrix, Our Experience. We never heard sound like that.
Oh, yeah, it was a huge, like, it wasn't just the British invasion. It was that everything. It was such an invasive new earworm of sound that like nobody had heard before.
Well, when Charlie Christian plugged in the guitar in a jazz setting, with
Well, that was the thing, is like jazz was considered taboo because it was almost too sexual, right? It was like the rhythms were too grinding, they're too primal, and when you draw them out like that, it's but they brought it back to us in the form of rock and roll. It was like, oh my goodness.
And then Les Paul, of course, electric guitar and multi-tracking, that started the whole thing. Him and Tom Dowd did a lot as a cornerstone for the industry, because Les Paul made the first, multi-track in a way. And his guitar,
Right.
it could play one thing and then
lay it over the
now
next
looping.
one.
It started the whole thing. And
Brought us
we
modern
could
rock
do
and
that.
roll.
Exactly. Because back in the old days, everything was the Beatles, and it's all mono, which is great too, mono.
So tell me a little bit about your collaborators too, the folks that I saw, Ivan Neville for one, and
Well, Ivan, he played on a long time ago on some tracks, and I just redid the tracks with Robert Margoloff a few years back, and Robert Margoloff produced Stevie Wonder and was one of the designers of Tonto, which is the first sequencing synthesizer. They had a whole room. He and Malcolm Cecil together changed the whole industry, and Malcolm Cecil was my engineering teacher.
oh wow,
And Tonto, they did an album called Tonto's Revolving Headband, and all the sounds in there, from Weather Report, Moody Blues, Stevie Wonder, you can hear it now. But Stevie had heard it and came up one day and said, how do I get those sounds? And the rest is history. They went on to produce all of Stevie's albums up to, I don't know, Songs in the Key of Life maybe.
There's so to learn more about Stephen's work in the music field is www.coolwatersproductions.com. So COOLWATERSPRODS.com if you want to hear any of those tracks that we just discussed. But what brings you to ToyCon?
And also, just you can go to Steve Costantino's SoundCloud and get the WAV files there.
Oh, you can download the music as WAV files there.
Well, you can at least hear them as WAV files.
Awesome.
Which
awesome.
is I like WAV files.
A little
compared
pure,
to-
yeah.
MP3s.
We're going digital format. It's a little
They
pure.
squash the meat out of it.
He digitals. He digitals.
Yeah.
But the reason you're here is because the fan favorite, Gomorian Guard.
Yes.
You wore the suit.
Yes, many of us wore the suit, but my thing was like kind of a kismet. Oh, there you go. On the barge, of course. This happened because of music again, and I had a martial arts teacher I just met when I moved to Los Angeles, U Van Patten, and he had said, "You got to meet Corey D, one of my students. He plays bass, and I think you guys would really hit it off musically and as friends." And as soon as I sat with Corey, we picked up the instruments, and that was it. It was like Wayne Shorter and Joe Zawinul on Weather Report. There was no words. It's just, here we go. And that's why I met Billy D. Corey's living with it. His dad was Billy D.
Right.
And Billy was very supportive. He said we were the first alternative band because we put funk and contemporary together and all the elements. Because Corey, he was born in New York as well. And, the music there, you love all of it. It
isn't a very interesting point to make is that all the things that you do as a creative person bring you around to the other creative people that are working in the industry that you want to work in and doing the cool things that you want to do, right? You work with music, you meet people who are into the cool music, and next thing you know, you're trying out a new thing and working on acting and doing other things with them. And
well, I'm not really what happened is Billy came into our rehearsal and said, "Corey, would you stand in for me?" And Corey's done many movies with his dad, like Bingo Long and on, and it's a lot of work. Let's face it, it's not as glamorous and easy as you think. It's a lot of work to get the job done, and it takes a certain kind of person to want to do that kind of thing. Get out there in the trenches. And Corey's like, "Oh, Yuma, 120 degrees, very adamant, like on a high, creative right now." So Billy said, "Why don't you bring Steve along on the guitar, you bring the bass, and you guys continue to create." And that's
while
what we
we're
did.
on the road, yeah.
Yeah, so we went out to the set in Yuma, and we played for the cast and crew, and we had a great vibe going.
It's awesome.
And the third or fourth day in the desert, I felt like I was getting restless. I wanted to help out because I had all the amenities with Billy and Corey. They took care of us, and Corey got to stand in, and he also did some stunts for his dad. And then Gazanji and the producer had taken Billy, Corey, and I out to dinner, and I said, "Is there anything I could do? I'll work for free." And the next day, they made me a Gomorian guard.
That's awesome.
And
like wear this giant hot suit.
Well, Luke Skywalker kills me, and I go into the Sarlacc pit. But
okay, so you were the one eaten by the Sarlacc pit. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was actually my final question. We got this guy right here. This is actually Jubnuk.
Yes.
Right. This is Jubnuk.
That's different.
That's the other fellow. He gets eaten by the Rancor. That was the question I had for you, and with that we're gonna part, my friend. So that means that you played Gartog. Is that correct? Is my research correct?
I think, to be honest, I think
they probably didn't even have a name when you wore the suit.
No, I'm learning as we go. And the funny thing is, I saw Julius LaFleur. He was a stunt guy that actually jumped in. I fight Luke Skywalker, but I saw a lot of guards and scenes, and I didn't think I thought it was just another guard. Yeah. And then Billy D had taken a picture of Corey and I with the mask off, and Corey's playing Klaatu. And that was
we have the photo of Klaatu and you as well.
That was in the archives for a long time, and
there it is. No, one more. Oh, maybe it didn't load. I did have that photo. You can see it. Yeah, it's
in the archive for a long time, and then when it got released, maybe I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe. That's when the fans saw us and said, "Well, you're in the barge, and you got killed by Luke." So
hey, you fought Luke Skywalker. Token. That's as big as it gets.
To me, I didn't know this. So Corey and I, to this day, we go out and do shows, and we're still like in awe of the whole thing. It's definitely a kismet situation.
Well, there we go. That's the photo we're talking about.
Yeah, there it is.
So Stephen, thanks for coming by and joining us on stream.
My pleasure.
You have such a busy booth over there. A lot of fans coming in and saying hi and getting their merch and getting your autograph on them.
Yes.
You'll find where will we be able to find you in the upcoming months?
I'm recording like 12 more songs as we speak, and I have my own recording studio in North Hollywood. Gomorian Sound.
Gomorian Sound.
That's my logo.
Awesome.
And my tattoo done by a Lucas artist at Celebration. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's such a pleasure, man. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, sir. Thank you very much. And check out the music, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you.